Time for some R&R. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk living from coast to coast. This is for the people. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk living from coast to coast. This is for the people. It's time for some R&R.
Welcome, my readers and real folk. I am your host, Mondra Kell-Webb. Books, art, film, music, all together in one spot, celebrating us right here, right now, every other week. It's all art, and it's all good. That's who we are, and that's what we do. Now it's time for some R&R. Today, on Readers and Real Folk, we'll talk children's books and Black joy with author-educator Caroline Brewer. We get a poignant tribute to a queen from Black art in America's own, Najee Dorsey. And DJ Haas presents the music of talented, DC-based songstress Temika Moore. Caroline Brewer is the author of 12 books. She has been a reading and classroom teacher and an author and consultant. She's presented readings, speeches, and seminars in 7 states, Washington, D.C., and Ghana, West Africa, to more than 25,000 teachers, children, tutors, parents, and librarians. Caroline has a background as an award-winning newspaper journalist and was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize and has also served as a Pulitzer Prize jurist.
Hello everybody, I'm Caroline Brewer, author of Darius Daniel's Game On. Check it out.
All right, Caroline Brewer, welcome to Readers and Real Folk. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for taking time out for us. Much appreciated. I know we got a lot to cover and we don't have that much time, so we're going to get right into it. I want to congratulate you, though, first of all, for book number 12.
Thank you.
And it's just so different and so creative and so innovative. And it's like poetry in motion. When you think of children's book, you think, okay, every other line, there's a rhyme, and then there's some, but this young adult, this right here is fire. So why don't you tell our readers about Darius Daniel's Game On?
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Darius Daniel's Game On is a book about an 11-year-old boy who gets sucked into a video game and is told that he can't get out unless he hurts somebody. And so that sets up this beautiful, amazing, scary adventure where he meets scary creatures and some really kind of lovely creatures in a way that you don't typically expect to happen in a video game where hurting somebody is supposed to be the ultimate goal. But what I love about the book is what you have just alluded to, and that's the fact that this is a rhyming machine. It's a poetry machine. It's poetry in motion. I really wanted kids to have fun reading this book. Mm-hmm. And my experience as an author and as a teacher and a literacy consultant working with children, I know how much they love rhymes. I know how much they love poetry. And so to be able to make this book a book that's free verse, that's poetry, every time you turn a corner, there are riddles, there are rhymes, raps, limericks, haiku, the more than 10 forms of poetry in the book, I thought would be a way to make the adventure fun, but also full of opportunities to learn.
Like I said, this is your 12th book. So in terms of young adult and children, what is the singular most common thread that you believe in terms of the messaging that you want to get out to people who read your books?
Okay. Well, I will say that the intent of this book was for middle grade students.
Okay.
But I have had children ranging in age now from like 2.5 years old to teenage years who have been reading the book. Now, the 2.5-year-old, she's not reading it herself, but her mom is reading it to her because she saw her mom reading it. And one day it was on a table. And because her mom always reads to her, she picked it up and said, read this to me. And so her mother started reading it to her. And she said she was hanging on to every word. In fact, she wanted her to keep going as if it was a picture book that she was going to read until the last page. So her mom had to say, it's not that kind of book. We're going to finish, the next chapter tomorrow. But it is definitely all ages. This is an all ages book. Well, the theme that runs through the book is the theme of identity, which is so important today. And as I said, working with children in schools, and I've been a tutor, what I see happening with all children is a struggle to find out who they are. How do they identify? And for too many of our children, they identify as people who are not capable of learning to read, not capable of learning to write, not capable, of excelling in an educational setting. And so I wanted to write a book that spoke to that experience of identity, in the strongest way I knew how, but also against the backdrop of something that most children absolutely love, and that's playing games, and something really we all love. So this book is really about identity. Darius crosses the shores of identity. He crosses the shores of time and space. The game world is a whole other kind of universe. And so we get to see what coming into your own as a young person is really like. What kinds of challenges do you face? What kinds of questions do you have to answer for yourself? Who's there to help you? What can you draw upon? And it was interesting because one of the early readers was a young woman who was 25 years old. And she told me that she saw herself in this character. She said it just page after page after page, she saw the questions of her life unfolding before her. And it touched her deeply. And I thought that was pretty remarkable. I really didn't have young adults of that age range in mind, but I'm hearing from people, again, of all ages, that there is something in this story that has meaning for them. So that brings me a lot of joy.
Well, speaking of joy, and I'm glad you've done something that speaks to identity. And many of us, we're a lot older before we kind of figure out who we are and what makes us tick and what makes our blood beat. But talk about Black joy.
Well, Black joy. I grew up loving playing children's rhyming games. And I think a lot of us had that experience. One of the popular rhymes that has stuck with me for a long time is Old Mary Mac or Miss Mary Mac. Mm-hmm. My mother was a Head Start teacher, and she later became a beautician, but she never lost this sense of joy. My mother is an amazing storyteller. She has the quickest, sharpest wit that you can ever find. So she's always telling stories. She's always making people laugh. Being around her has always felt safe when it came to learning and growing. And so for me, Black joy is that safe space. It's the place where we get to be ourselves. It's a place where, against the backdrop of racism, oppression, white supremacy, we find our own special ways to express ourselves. Mm-hmm. We find a place where we get to freestyle. We get to be freewheeling. We, get to let loose of all this creative energy. We get to dance like nobody's watching, whether we're dancing with words or dancing with music or, whatever form of expression we're utilizing. Black joy for me is like the balm in Gilead. It's this rare and prized perfume that is healing and that says to us, that we don't have to be limited. We don't have to be confined to the dungeons of despair, which is what this world seems to want for us and has always forced upon us. But we get to fight back. We get to fight back with our laughing spirits, with our loving spirits, with our healing spirits. It's a place where our souls can be satisfied. So I see that in a lot of children's literature. I had it in my life, and it's in every book that I've ever written for children.
There's so much going on with running the company like Black Art in America, and I couldn't do it alone. I couldn't do it without her. I couldn't do it without the team that we've assembled.
One of my favorite pieces of yours is called The Queen of God.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's a photo of, or an art piece of yours.
Right. I was
of you and your wife.
Right.
And I want to know, you and your wife actually own the gallery together.
Mm-hmm.
So how has your journey been as a couple through owning the gallery and creating art?
Hey man, I couldn't have done it without Sateria. The thing about it is that Sateria has supported, like every single endeavor that I've had in this mind, like the whole time we've been together. I mean, it didn't matter when we had a cleaning company, equipment company, a gallery back in Arkansas, or even the notion to move to Atlanta to pursue my art full time. She's always been there to support. And so when I think about, my queen, my wife, and that level of support and what we've been able to do as a couple, and one first starting out with supporting me and going to the shows and doing the email campaigns and this and that, and helping to work the clients and working the show and the travel, it's important. And then as we've grown in the arts and building and having the space in the gallery, you couldn't do it without it, man. It's like you can't. Let me say this, man. Like sometimes, you could take for granted what your spouse may bring. Like I remember that we had a health challenge with Sateria, a couple, 2 years ago, and that when I left the hospital and she had to leave her there and come here and just think about like what my life would be like without her. And it's like there's so much that she does. There's so much that your partner brings that you lose track of. So one, I would say I couldn't do the work that I do without my support, my helpmate, my life mate. And there's so much that happens behind the scenes with running a business. Because keep in mind, like art is our product, but we run a business, so everything from the accounting to dealing with the customers to the travel to the back end, it's like some of the marketing. It's like there's so many wheels turning, and there's so much going on with running the company like Black Art in America. And I couldn't do it alone. I couldn't do it without her. I couldn't do it without the team that we've assembled to assist in certain manners. So just at the end of the day, you can't do it alone. And your best help is going to end up being a loving and supportive spouse, because they're vested in you and your dreams. Like while I'm working on this big overall vision, you know what I'm saying, and working certain things, you can't without that grunt work being done, you know what I'm saying, like that down and dirty and the behind the scenes of things that's not as sexy, it wouldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? And that's a lot of times the spouse behind the figure oftentimes is the one that's doing that work. You know what I'm saying? So
let's rock. That's right, my readers and real folk. This is a hostile takeover. So strap up for a ride on the R&R Express with DJ Haas. Special shout out to my web queen, Monda Raquel Webb, and to blackartinamerika.com, representing for 10 years as a top spot in black visual art. Check it. Today we head over to the Capitol to hear from the extraordinary voice of DC-based songwriter and vocalist Temika Moore. The talented Moore has opened for and shared the stage with the likes of Will Downing, Roy Ayers, Eric Benet, Shantae Moore, Bilal, Kindred the Family Soul, Kim, Dwale, Selena Johnson, and Cassandra Wilson. And as you're about to see, there's a reason why. The name of the song is I'm Not Okay. And the artist is the one and only Temika Moore. Check it.
I don't wanna pretend, I don't wanna play games. Can't lie to myself, not one more day. Been trying to deal with some things that hard to talk about. I'm going through some changes and I'm having my doubts. Been there for everyone else, now I'm going through. Can't solve the problems tonight, just gonna have to get used to me not being around. I'm not doing fine. So many things going on in my life. I'm not okay. No, I'm not doing fine. I'm not doing fine. Can't smile and give another obligatory line. I'm not okay. I'm not doing fine. No. So many things going on in my life. I'm not perfect, and yes, I cry, but understanding's in short supply. So I get dressed and put my face on and play my part. Handle my business with a heavy heart. Here's the tough thing about it all. I'm still praying, still going to church, and yet I fall. The struggle is so deep, even with faith I can't believe what's happening to me. Now I understand. I'm not okay. Doing fine. So many things going on in my life. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not doing fine. No. Can't smile and give another. Can't smile. No. I'm not okay. I'm not doing fine. I'm not doing fine. So many things going on. Got too many things on my mind. When you're the rock for everyone else, you put your problems on the shelf, place them far away for another day, then you take a breath, keep it moving, that's as good as it gets. I'm not doing fine. So many things going on. So many. I'm not doing fine. Can't smile and give another. I won't smile. I'm not doing fine. I'm not doing fine.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of Readers and Real Folk. This is your R&R host, Monda Raquel Webb, wishing you art, peace, and love.
It's time for some R&R. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk living from coast to coast. This is for the people. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk living from coast to coast. This is for the people. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk living from coast to coast. This is for the people.